On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks get the win over the Denver Nuggets, and Kristaps Porzingis returns to form.
Best win of the season. Their first signature win of the season. What a fun night in the AAC.
And Jason Kidd made one brilliant move that I think won the game. We'll talk about that coming up on today's Locked On Mavs.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor, writer at Mavs.com, the winning wonder, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Let's go. Let's go. What a win. This is what we were talking about. Yesterday's pod, we talked about these 5-game stretch, how important this was for the season. Some would even say it could define the season. And you start with
I said that. I did.
But Denver, Phoenix twice, Clippers twice, and they start off against this Denver team, and they have this huge win at home. We talked about all the differences of the second matchup with them, having KP at home. They've had a couple days of rest. It was kind of the opposite for Denver. You know, Denver missing the guys and second night of back-to-back, but still, huge win for the Mavs, and this is exactly what they needed right now.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to get into this game. The Dallas Mavericks get the win over the Denver Nuggets. The Dallas Mavericks get the win 111-101. With a fourth quarter run that we'll talk about and definitely get into, that Jason Kidd made a very interesting move. We'll get into all that. Today's episode is brought to you by RockAuto.com. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit RockAuto.com right now and tell them that Locked On sent you. All right. Also, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. Remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can watch us right now and hang out with us. And we usually post YouTube before the podcast. I just want to point that out for people.
Sneaky.
If you want to get the pod earlier, go on YouTube, because that one's it's quicker for me to put that one up. All right, let's get into this game. So the Mavericks win this game, and Kristaps Porzingis led the Mavs in scoring. 29 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block, 5 offensive rebounds for him. 5 of 8 from 3. An incredible shooting night for Kristaps Porzingis. 11 of 20 from the field. Hit just 2 free throws, but hit both of them that he got. And only had 2 fouls and 2 turnovers. Kristaps Porzingis' best game of the season. I mean, we're now doubling up on KP's best games of the season. He's finally, I'm saying, rounding into form. He's finding his niche in this offense. He's finding his spots, and he's doing an incredible job right now.
He's looking like the KP we thought coming out of his first healthy offseason. But StatMuse tweeted after the game, Kristaps Porzingis last 3 games, 27.7 points per game, 10 rebounds a game, 3 3-pointers a game, 55, 50, 90% shooting splits. Mavericks have won 5 of their last 6. That's from StatMuse. This is the KP they need. This is the KP they've gotten over the past few games. I mean, we've seen different lineups tonight. You know, a lot of the questions, I mean, we've been talking about it. I feel like a broken record about the lone big, him being the lone big out there, you know, and we got a lot of that tonight. Breaking news, Dwight Powell struggled a little bit, especially defending Jokic, which to his point, like Jokic is the MVP of the league, and, you know, he made Luka look dumb, you know, towards the end of the game, posting Luka up too. So, but I thought KP played a great game, you know, defensively aside, like guarding Jokic in the fourth. That was, you know, a little tough for him, but he made his shots. That's the thing with KP. If he makes his shots, he gets the shots all the time. He just has to make them. And he's a good shooter deep down.
He knocked down those threes. Those were absolutely massive. That's why his scoring swelled up to the point that he was the leading scorer in the game. But it was the other kind of moves I thought too. He's driving to the basket. His intentionality. I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to make a move. I'm not just going to get the ball, turn around, back to the basket. I was sitting next to Kevin Gray during the game, and we were just like, all these moves that he's making are the type of moves that he wants. And it just seems like sometimes we get these KP games where he either does something super efficient, like a pick and roll to the basket, or a catch and shoot, like wide open 3, like something super efficient, or super inefficient, where it's like this weird back to the basket, turn around, pull up, like just this weird stuff that they try to get KP going with. you have to find some kind of middle, and the middle is get KP facing up on a mismatch, and he takes advantage of the mismatch if he can, only if he can dribble past somebody, or if he's not dribbling at like Kawhi, or something like that, like he was in the playoffs. But those other type of moves, I think, really worked for him, finishing around the basket, finishing on some of those drives. And the move that I love that he did twice in this game, that I think is the one of the few moves that really works for him. He's out on the perimeter. If he doesn't have an open three, if somebody closes out really hard on him, he pump fakes and he dribbles a little bit, pulls up from 2. That's a shot. I think he just gets a lot that is pretty efficient. I don't have numbers on it, but it's an efficient looking shot, and it's a decent shot. He got a couple times in this game. And those are the kind of things that get KP going, that get KP playing the way, I mean, he was an all-star a couple years ago, to get him playing in that direction.
As long as the guy, jumps for the 3. If the guy jumps for the 3,
difference.
Pumps fake, and then, pump fakes, goes in, shoots the mid-range shot. I'm down for that. I'm down for, obviously, the spot up 3. What I'm not down for, and on a consistent basis, is I'm going to try to take somebody off the dribble type thing. Like, there was a moment tonight where Bol was guarding him, and he tried to do, like, he went right, tried to shoot this shot, like, runner in his face, hit, like, maybe the top of the backboard or something. That's not his game. But, man, there was a play tonight. I'm like, hook this up to my veins right now. He got position on his post up.
Yes.
It was
Deep.
Monty Morris deep in the lane, like in the restricted area. He like literally like used his body, pushed him down, had the actual mismatch. That's when you have a mismatch. That's what you got to do. He pushed him down the area, turned around, pinned him. Luka hit it. He did a drop step, scored. I'm like, thank you. That is what he can do. It's when you have a mismatch, that's what you have to do. I would almost be down for him to get an offensive foul, pushing Josh Hart or somebody just to get that position. I'm like, let's go. Like that's the thing. Instead of having a smaller guy kind of like push him, I get he's so tall, they push on his waist, push him out a little bit, but he got the position, and the position for KP on post ups mean everything. So I love that play. I could watch that play over and over again.
There was a moment when he was trying to post up Bol, and I was like, all right, if he can't get position on Bol, and we may as well just pack it up, because that dude,
well, at least he's got height. I mean,
seeing Bol in person, though, the skinniest guy, legs. Like, man, there's just so much limbs. Like, just the amount of limbs. He only has 4, right? The quantity is still 4, but just the length of his arms and legs, and like, man, it's wild to watch him play. And he had some good moves in this game. He had that one finish around the rim to end one. He had a couple other moves. Bol did. And other things that KP did really well was playmaking. I thought he had a couple of really good moves. What was the game last week or so, where KP was used as they had to basically break a trap with Luka, and then they threw it to KP and he had to find the open man. They were doing that in this game too, because the Nuggets were trapping and doubling Luka every single time he got the ball, it seemed. And the Mavericks are doing the same to Jokic on the other side, as they should. But it just seemed like Luka was just struggling to get heat. He struggled with Gordon, and then he struggled with the double teams, obviously. And they got it to KP, and KP a couple times, especially late in that fourth quarter, he would get it to KP, and KP would get it around, and they'd whip it around the perimeter and get an open 3. And it was just, that's the stuff that can hook up to my veins. Like, you can hook up post-ups all you want, but that ball movement stuff with KP actually passing and being a good passer, that opens up so much stuff for this Mavericks offense. So KP doing KP stuff. Another game here. I think we're like 3 games in a row of really good KP.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that he only had 3 assists on the box score tonight, but he had some hockey assists that he just didn't, obviously it just was, a couple passes that he got it. So
but 3 assists is good for him. Like that's a good number.
Yeah, it's a good number, but like you said, watching this game, like if somebody didn't watch the game and look at it like, okay, cool, 3 assists, but he was moving the ball really well. He's playing really good basketball over these past few games.
A lot of people have been talking about, obviously, we've talked about it. A bunch of people saying it. KP is the lone big. KP is the lone big. It's the best lineup. Yes, it's definitely the best lineup. There was a little bit of strategy, tactics in this game, because they couldn't just throw out KP as the lone big against Jokic in this game. He just would have fouled. You saw it twice. I think KP barely guarded Jokic at all in this game. You saw it twice. I think both of KP's fouls were against Jokic on like some of them. The second one at least was really dumb foul where KP just got too close to him and pushed and
on the perimeter.
You're like, oh, this is where you just don't need that and don't want that. He's just getting too aggressive. And so Jason Kidd had to be a little strategic with Porzingis and using him as the lone big against Jokic. And so he waited and waited and waited. And that's why, Dwight Powell played some more. That's why they went small a little bit. They brought Boban out there. They had Willie out there for a stretch, but they waited until like the last 4 minutes for KP to actually guard Jokic and to finally like unleash that lineup with Luka and all them.
They had a tactic that obviously was part of their game plan because everybody did it, and I just didn't understand it. It was when they were guarding Jokic on the post on the left block. It's like they didn't want him to get into the paint to shoot the left hook. And it's like, I get it. You're picking your poison when it comes to the MVP, but they were just giving him the baseline every time. And it's like, I get there's defensive strategy stuff to where you're like force him baseline and then you have help, but they didn't have help. And it's like he did the spin move on Dwight Powell, just left him in the dust and scored baseline. He did the same thing to Luka Doncic's fourth quarter, just left him baseline bucket. And it's like, but they're obviously forcing him, even KP at the time, they were trying to force him baseline, but I don't know what that strategy was. I was kind of confused by it, but it's like you're watching it in the moment. You're like, all right, he's just going to go baseline. Bam, he did it. And like, well, okay, I can't do anything about it.
Coming up, we'll talk more about KP. We'll talk about Luka. We'll talk about the decision Jason Kidd made that changed the game. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Theragun. Theragun also sponsored the Dallas Mavericks. They have a nice, every single game, they have this nice advertisement of Jalen Brunson using the Theragun from Therabody. Don't let the stress of daily life weigh on your body. Whether you're an elite athlete like Jalen Brunson or somebody like us just trying to make it through the day tension-free, Theragun can help. It's a handheld percussive therapy device that releases your deepest muscle tension using a scientifically calibrated combo of depth, speed, and power. And it's as quiet as an electric toothbrush. The OLED screen and design will make you feel like you're holding something from the future. Just go to their site and check it out. And the Theragun app learns from your behavior and suggests guided routines. It helps you learn exactly what you need. So try Theragun for 30 days, starting at only $199. Go to therabody.com/lockedon right now. Get your Gen 4 Theragun today, used by the Mavericks. Therabody.com/lockedon. Therabody.com/lockedon. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into this game. So we talked about Porzingis a lot. We've talked about his successes, and he had a good game and only played 33 minutes. So that's a win all around, basically, right?
Stayed healthy
for the Mavericks. Stayed healthy, stayed out there. Luka Doncic at the end of he struggled a little bit in this game, but at the end he came up limping. We have not heard a real good update on him. We heard that KP talked to him after the game and he said, "Yeah, I'll be okay. I'll be fine. I'll be okay." And then Jason Kidd said, we'll probably give an update. The Mavericks will not practice on Monday. And so we probably will not hear from them until before the next Suns game.
Yeah. I mean, Kidd said he walked through the tunnel. We
all saw him do that.
We saw it on the broadcast in the arena, all that. But, we'll just have to see, when you watch the replay over and over, I went back and just watched it a couple times. And I mean, if you're Luka right now, you wish, which I get, you could say this about hindsight about any play that you're like, oh, I wish I didn't run to that corner or whatever it is. It was a pretty reckless play by Luka in the play in which he got hurt. They were up by a lot. And
on defense, no less.
Yes, on defense. He comes from the opposite corner, jumps from behind the basket to try to get this big block. There's already two defenders, and it just rolls up his foot there. It didn't. I mean, yeah, I don't want to try to speculate, but from a viewer perspective, you've seen worse ankle turns, but you never know. I thought it could have been a high ankle sprain at first when you see it, but we'll just see how it plays out. They're off for practice, today. So
you almost diagnosed it as a high ankle sprain.
No, I said you start looking at
getting into Twitter doctor status here. We're like, ooh, what could this be?
Hey, what? Look
at it. Twitter. We need Dr. Brian on.
Twitter after an injury, it just turns into a doctor's conference, down at the Omni.
And no one is qualified except for our friend Dr. Brian Sutterer. He's the only one.
Brian's legit.
He's the only one that's qualified. All the rest of us are just guessing.
Casey Smith is qualified. I'd like to throw
but he's not on Twitter, right? I'm saying.
Yeah, he is.
Is Casey Smith on Twitter talking about Luka's injury after the game?
You didn't say talking. He's on Twitter, though.
There's a difference between being on Twitter and on Twitter.
Rick Carlisle was on Twitter, too.
Rick Carlisle was definitely on Twitter at times. But Luka struggled in this game. Luka struggled for him. Another one of Luka's average games, quote-unquote, eye roll. 23 points, 8 boards, 11 assists for him. 2 steals, a block. He was just 9 of 23 from the floor, 2 of 7 from 3. He had some really good closing moments, though. There was a sequence at the end of the game where Luka and Jokic were one-on-one in back-to-back possessions. Luka was attacking Jokic, and then Jokic was attacking Luka, and then they came back on the other end, did the exact same thing. It was great to see. It was one of those moments where you're like, I just can't wait for this to be in a playoff game, right? Like, that would just be so fun to have those two guys go at it.
I can't wait to see it in practice when they're on the same team.
Hey, when Luka joins the Nuggets.
Whoa, no.
When he leaves, that's what everyone always says to us.
Don't listen. The seeds of all, like, you see after the game, Jokic is dabbing up Boban and, Luka. He goes over and gives Igor a good
We need
hug.
the Balkan brothers together.
Like, man, I mean, it's already,
the seeds have been planted.
Like, but no, what I loved about the second Luka possession, the first time he got Jokic on the switch, he did the step back 3, missed the 3, came back down, got the switch again, and he took Jokic to the post. And I'm like, oh, let's go. Like, MVP, center, biggest dude on the court for them. Post, Dirk fadeaway, nothing but net. I'm like, my heart. Let's go. Nothing but net. And then, Brunson hit him with the fadeaway too a little bit later.
There's something amazing about Luka being able to do that Dirk shot that just like keeps it alive in your heart a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, I saw some people, like the Mavs were releasing some new merch today, and there was something about the 2011 championship, and I saw people tweeting like, how long is this
cool shirt?
How long is this team gonna be milking this championship? And I'm like, you keep that stuff alive as long as you can. Like,
wait, who's saying that?
Just Twitter people. There's nothing.
Oh, come on.
And so I was
You
just
don't
like,
think the Kings or some of these other teams would just be dying to put any date on the freaking shirt?
the Kings and Hawks have won a title. They did it in a different state though than they're currently in, and they did it in a different like century, basically.
I'm down to soak this thing up forever. Let's do it.
But there's something cool about Luka being able to pull off that shot that just keeps that like Dirk magic alive a little bit, and to see him do it late in the game in a crucial moment it was really awesome to see it in person. Yeah. And to just be there. But Luka and KP also, I'm seeing this play go around Twitter right now, and it was awesome. I think I saw Dalton tweet it out. It's like 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game, and Luka and KP pulled off this, Luka passed to KP and then back to Luka, like this give and go play that was just like, the best way I can describe it is jazz, right? Like, that's super cheesy to call it that, but just the way that they were there's just the rhythm between the two of them to where it was like, all right, I know exactly where you're going to go. I can feel this play happening before it happens. And then boom, I'm going to hit you right as you're going to dive into the lane so that you can get position and you can drive and you can hit the shot. And then Aaron Gordon got called for a goaltend on it. And that counted, but it was just one of those plays. Well, remember during preseason, we were like, okay, what are the few things we actually want to see during preseason? One of those things was we want to see the Luka KP chemistry plays, some of these like magic KP Luka chemistry plays. And this was one of them. And this was maybe the best one we've seen so far this season, of those two guys being on the same page, being in the same rhythm, being in the same tempo, if we continue the music analogy. And it was awesome to see. It was this incredible moment. And it was KP passing and Luka finishing, which is just the opposite of what you'd expect a really good KP and Luka play to be.
On yesterday's pod, we talked about things we wanted to see over the next 5 games. And look at that list that we talked about, some of the things we talked about. We want to see chemistry between Luka and KP, more of that. We got it. We wanted to see Jason Kidd try out new things and make adjustments. We got it. We wanted to see the Mavericks pick up the pace and play a little bit more. We got that. Like, they had 23 fast break points tonight, and that was one of the things that Tim Hardaway talked about, in that we're going to talk about this fourth quarter thing in a little bit, this lineup. But when Tim was asked about it after the game, for him to kind of explain to us what their mindset was as far as their game plan, he's like, we knew that they were on a back-to-back. We knew that they were going to be tired. And when Kidd put that lineup out there, when Dorian was the 5, he said, I looked around, he said, and then the tallest guy on the floor is like
all
6'7". Well, he's like the tallest guy on the floor with the 6'7". He's like, we knew we had to pick up the pace and play at this faster pace and get them running and stuff. These are the things we just talked about yesterday. Like, we want to see these things. And I know it's one game, but like, we saw a lot of these things. They can pick up the pace and run. This team can do that.
Especially if they play super small like they did
exactly
at the end of the game that we'll get into. Yeah, man, this game had everything. I mean, we've gone this far. We've barely talked about Tim, who had a great game. Brunson just continues to be, he's the 6th man of the year in my book. I mean, he just continues to have some incredible play. So let's do that next. Let's get into some of these guys. But then I want to talk about the one move that Jason Kidd made that absolutely changed this game, and I think ended up winning them the games. We'll get into that. It's the one move that will define the season of the Mavericks.
Define the season.
We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about rockauto.com. Save time, save money using rockauto.com. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, if you like to work on cars, if you like to update your car, if you like to just do general maintenance on your car and you don't want to take it to a shop all the time, rockauto.com has those parts available for you. Why would you want to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts at a chain store or a dealership and then have them do the repairs that you can do yourself? RockAuto.com is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. They know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a long time. Go explore their easy-to-use website today. Go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Also want to tell you about betonline.ag. Fastest and easiest way to put down some money on sports. You can put down some money. Don't do it on the Rams, because anytime the Rams are like, oh, they're the next Super Bowl favorite, they just go and drop a game. Weirdest game. There's a guy sitting next to me and he was watching this game the entire time. I don't even know if he looked at the Mavs game at all. He was just sitting there watching this, watching that Rams 49ers game. But if you're super into football like that, you can put down some money. You can put down some money on basketball and NBA games as well. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. Get a 50% welcome bonus. Your first deposit. You can earn some money right now. They have a couple of games on tomorrow. Warriors Nets. The Nets are a 2.5-point favorite at home. If you're interested in that. Jazz Sixers. Jazz 8.5-point favorite. Clippers Spurs. Clippers just a 6.5-point favorite. That seems a little low. Go check it out. betonline.ag. All right, Isaac Harris. So I've been teasing it. I'll get to it now.
I'm ready.
To start the fourth quarter, Jason Kidd made a move that I thought was probably the smartest move he's made this season so far. The smartest lineup and definitely the most different lineup we've seen so far from them. The Mavericks finally went small. We have not seen them play with no bigs. We've talked about, well, can the Mavericks just get down to one big, right? Can they finally just play KP as the lone big? Can they finally do that? Then this game, they finally got down to 0 bigs. They put out Brunson, Frank Ntilikina, Tim Hardaway Jr., Reggie Bullock, and Dorian Finney-Smith. Super small ball lineup. Dorian's the tallest guy in that, and he's 6'7". Then Frank and Tim Hardaway and Bullock are all like 6'5", and then Brunson's like 6'3", 6'2". And so that is a really small lineup out there against the Nuggets bench unit. And the Mavericks going into the fourth quarter were down by 4. They go out there. They have this incredible run. They go on a 14-2 run. The Mavericks are up 93-85 when this lineup ends. And they bide time for the starters. They bide time for KP and Luka to get some time on the bench. And they got out in transition, like we mentioned before earlier in the show. They got to run. They got to have a lot of hustle plays. They got to have everybody out there that could shoot. They hit a couple threes. It was an incredible moment in the arena too. The fans were just so behind it. And let me tell you, Frank Ntilikina.
Woo, let's go.
Mavs fans love them some Frank Ntilikina right now. I compared him to all the Mavs fans this offseason were like, man, I wish we could get an Alex Caruso. I wish we could get a guy like Alex Caruso that does these things, and they like list all the stuff that Alex Caruso does. We got Alex Caruso at home. His name is Frank Ntilikina, the French Prince. Like he's becoming that type of a guy and becoming that type of a player because he can check off all those boxes. The consistency, obviously, he's not on that level yet of Alex Caruso, but there were moments in that stretch where he was just like getting the crowd going, and everything he did, a steal, a three, anything, was really getting everybody going.
I know I was actually typing in Caruso's name right now because I wanted to see what his 3-point percentage was because I thought he was like a 40%.
Yeah. He's definitely at a different level than Frank right now.
No, but I saw your tweet and I was like, man, that's so good though. Like that's such a what the role of Alex Caruso. Like Caruso, like we just said, he did shoot 40% from 3 last year. But if Frank can continue shooting at a decently high clip, his defense is there. And it's like that role of what Alex Caruso plays, what he was supposed to play in Chicago. Now he's playing probably a lot more because Patrick Williams is out, but it's like, that's the role for Frank. And man, he made some plays tonight. He had that play to where somebody passed it to the corner and the guy started, I think it was JaMychal Green, started to cut. And then he just jumped up and just snagged it. Like, wingspan, let's go. And he just snagged it one hand. I mean, it felt like, yeah, man, if to get him to take the swing at a minimum contract, a former top 10 pick just a few years ago. And if he stays in this impactful role, I mean, I just had lunch with a guy the other day, an NBA media guy, and he was like, dude, they should start Frank. And like, I mean, that's the type of thing right now. It's like, if they really hit on Frank and he is like a legit rotation player for them and they hold on to it, like what a win for the front office and for the coaching staff of like, hey, your first year, you took a swing on a minimum guy and you turned him in. I mean, he's just straight up. Frank Ntilikina sent Josh Green to Frisco. So
yeah, he did.
I mean, and we're talking like first round pick, 18th overall pick. I mean, just 2 years ago? If that, I mean, I'd say 2 years ago. I don't even know if it was 2 years ago as far as actual time, but 2 drafts ago, because it was, it was right before the bubble and like all that stuff. 2 seasons ago.
Local podcaster admits he can't count.
No, well, I was counting in the bubble because that draft was in like November or whatever it was, and get off me, Nick.
Yeah, but this run right here was absolutely massive, and I thought it really swung the game. It swung the energy. You had that moment where JaMychal Green and Frank Ntilikina were tussling for an offensive rebound. Frank was holding onto his arm a little bit, and then JaMychal Green just throws him down on the ground. The entire crowd was ready to fight JaMychal Green, I think, at the end there. They review it, and then they just call double text on JaMychal and Dorian Finney-Smith. And you don't want to step up to Dorian Finney-Smith because
no. And can we like recognize like what a cool moment that was for for a teammate? Like that play wasn't dead. Like it's not like there was a foul and then everybody's just standing there and the Dorian just like chimed in, whatever. No, that play happened. Dorian got the ball. Dorian just went and pushed him. And it's like, hey, like you can't, not on my watch, not on like I'm his brother, I'm his teammate. You're not going to do that on my watch. And then, all that stuff. And so I'm like, I want Dorian Finney-Smith in my corner. If I'm going to war, if I'm going to battle, give me Dodo all day. That's what teammates do. Loved every bit of it.
It was awesome. It was a great moment. It got the crowd into it. The crowd was really feeling it. And then every bucket after that was just another one where it took them to a different level. And then the Mavericks have a 8-point lead at the end of that run. They were down by 4 when they started. They had an 8-point lead at the end of it. And I thought that was a real big moment where we wanted Kidd to try new things. And he did. He threw out that small ball lineup. They were able to run on the Nuggets around the second night of a back-to-back. And I thought it really changed the game.
Dwight Powell, 17 minutes tonight. I wanted to look up.
That's down. That's down from what we've seen before.
Second half minutes for Dwight, 6 minutes and 26 seconds.
And that was just to start the third quarter. Like just the starters started the third quarter like they always do. And that was the only stint he played. He didn't play at all in the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter minutes, 0 on that, like you just said. And it's like, and I'm not trying to like target Dwight on this. This is more of a Jason Kidd thing. Jason Kidd's adjusting. Like that, this is something that we were kind of afraid of, like, oh, how long is he just going to stick with this lineup? It's like, I'm just going to force this square peg into a circle. Like, and that's the type of thing. And to see that adjustment to swing for something just out there that we haven't seen, of like Dorian at the 5, let's go on that. Like, give me Dorian at the 5 before Willie. Like, that's the thing. It's like Dorian, like Willie. This is another reason why Willie should never. Well, okay.
I really thought you were going down there.
But like you should we have another option. Like
I'm much more understanding of this type of a game plan than I am where Dwight plays like a lot in the fourth quarter or a lot in the second half. I understand why he starts the game. Even if the Mavericks are going to start slow, like I understand the reasoning. We've talked about it before, but I'll explain it again. You have to have that insurance for KP because KP can't just guard a Jokic type one-on-one. He committed 2 fouls and he only guarded him for like maybe 3 minutes of game time, like total in this game, right? And he fouled twice on him. The Mavericks are terrified of KP getting into foul trouble because they need him. They need him to score points. They need him to be able to be a finisher, to space the floor, all that stuff. And so they really don't want that. There were even a couple moments during the game before the fourth quarter where they went with KP as the lone big. And they had Dorian go out and guard Jokic on the perimeter and guard Jokic around the rim because they didn't want KP to get in foul trouble. And so you throw Dwight out there as like a human like meat shield almost against these guys, to where he's like, all right, you got fouls, you can hustle. He's not the best defender, but he's gonna go out there and try and do the right thing and try and and hustle and do all that kind of stuff. And so, all right, we'll just live with it. And their other options are very limited right now. Very limited right now against some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, Jokic is going to do Jokic things against anybody, but I just love that he tried out something new with this small ball thing. We at least like got a glimpse of like, oh, okay, like we'll see what I mean. You look at this Clippers team. It's like you seen what they did in the playoffs. It's like you got to have this ability. And I mean, will Jason Kidd go to that in a playoff series? Would he go to that late in a playoff series with Kristaps Porzingis on the bench? Like that's the type of stuff. Like you at least know you have it in your back pocket that you can go. Like if the Clippers, you're playing the Clippers, next week, and they're rolling Batum or somebody out at the 5, like you have a lineup now with Dorian. This is when that wing depth comes into play, right? Frank Ntilikina, Reggie Bullock, Sterling Brown types. Like if you have the depth, you can pull off lineups like this, like these flexible type of lineups, and that was really cool to see.
Let's end here by throwing some props out at some of these other guys. We talked about Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. had quite the fourth quarter. Tim Hardaway Jr. really came out. He was the guy really getting some buckets late in the game. He had 13 points in the fourth quarter, an incredible run for Tim Hardaway Jr., especially in that small ball unit. I thought he was great at shooting. The mid-range stuff, he's a weapon where he can go all around the court. He had like a bank mid-ranger in the fourth quarter. He had a real close one that was like, I mean, he was probably 5 or 6 feet away from the basket, but he could take a jumper, and his jumper is wet from anywhere. And I thought that he was a real big weapon in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, Boban came in. He had the Bones Highland, play that you tweeted about. We were talking about before.
Yeah, I can talk about this play. So Boban only played 2 minutes, but he had the funniest moment of the entire game where I'm sitting in my seat in section 123, and all of a sudden Boban
you got season tickets, bro?
Boban has the ball, and he turns the corner to start going towards the basket, and the only person between Boban, giant, beautiful Boban, and the basket is Bones Highland. And Bones Highland is he's like 6'3", I guess, or 6'2" or 6'3", maybe 6'4", but he may weigh like 150 pounds soaking wet. He's like one of the smallest guys to see on the court. And Boban turns the corner, sees Bones there, and is like, oh man, this is like a grown man against a small child, right? It looked like if you're out there like going up against your kid in the driveway, and he turned the corner, and all of a sudden Bones jumps at Boban, and then Boban's like, oh, I'm just going to go to the basket and just dunk because there's no one else there, and it's just this little guy.
I was kind of surprised we didn't see more of Boban. We've seen Boban kind of play in these Denver games against Jokic.
The Mavs were nervous that they were going to shut the league down again if Boban played against the Nuggets at home.
Oh, my gosh. I'll never forget that night.
Crazy.
And then I spent the next year sitting in an empty arena just with no fans, just as a little media guy in my corner.
Jalen Brunson, 17.6 assists off the bench. He just had another one of those games where he just was supporting, right? He didn't take over at any moment in this game, but he was supporting. He was getting buckets when needed. He was helping in the fourth quarter. He was playing late in the fourth quarter. He was helping that closing lineup. He just continues to do great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you say he's 6th man of the year. I'm going to lean with you, even though I haven't done my homework on what the rest of the league looks like as far as 6th man.
That was my pick before the year, and I'm feeling good about it.
Go. I already forgot who my pick was, but
yeah, I think it was JB. Hero.
Oh yeah. I'm still feeling pretty confident.
That's a good one too, for sure.
Sterling Brown played 7 minutes in this game, but didn't do a ton.
Sterling is struggling right now, to say the least.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, his role kind of goes back and forth. I mean, the other night he played 17 minutes in a game, and tonight he played 7.
Dorian hit 2 threes in this game. Loving to see Dorian finally over the last 5 games. He's shooting 40-something% from 3. Finally, that shot's coming around. But Reggie Bullock was the one that got minutes late in the game and was in the closing lineup instead of Dorian. I thought that was because I think Reggie's a better defender than Dorian. And so I think that they decided to go with that. He's definitely quicker on his feet, in my opinion. And I thought that it was interesting that they went with Bullock instead of Dorian late in the game.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out, especially as the season goes along, because, I mean, you just kind of do your math on who's going to be on the floor. And it's like, all right, well, you almost have to have Tim out there just for the shots. Luka and KP is probably going to be out there. JB's playing so well. There you go. Then you have 4. Who's going to be your 5th? Is it going to be another big and Maxey or Dwight? Is it going to be Dorian? Is it going to be Reggie? I think we'll see that 5th spot kind of rotate a little bit to close games. But I want to say real quick, a bigger picture thing. Phoenix, 2 games of Phoenix coming up. There's only two teams ahead of the Mavericks in the standings right now. Your 9-4 Dallas Mavericks tied, or actually they're not tied. They're 3rd in the West right now. But if they go in and beat Phoenix, once, twice, They're going to be second in the West. Just want to throw that out there.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
We will be back tomorrow. I think we're going to have Mike Leslie on the show, which will be exciting. And then we're going to have, obviously, post games after both the Suns games. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.